What is up? What is up? All right, so we're going to have a lot of fun in this episode, but more than fun, we're going to be talking about the power of LinkedIn. Like, if there's an opportunity for your business, and it really doesn't care, I really don't care what business you're in, almost every business will benefit from LinkedIn engagement over almost any platform because of targeting. The targeting and the way people keep their LinkedIn profile up to date, because it's basically their resume, right? And LinkedIn has more up-to-date profile targeting than anything else, more specific. It is the place where I spend most of my time on social, adding value into the world, being discovered. And I want to introduce you to somebody who's doing some remarkable things. He is a media maestro, and well, we're both dear friends with another guru who always is talking about Matt Clark. Todd, you got to meet Matt Clark. He's amazing. Oh my God, you and Matt Clark. I hear it all the time, like to the point where it got a little obnoxious. And then Matt and I were both on a panel recently, and I was like, oh my gosh, this dude's brilliant. Wait, this is the guy that I keep hearing about, that I'm supposed to be talking with, that I'm going to love, because we are of like mindsets and how to use LinkedIn. And so guess what? After the panel, I pulled him aside and I was like, yo, brother, would you mind coming to the Toddcast and pouring into my audience who could benefit from your brilliance? And you know what he said? Well, that's coming up after these words.
This podcast is brought to you by the Wirebuzz team. Now, if that name sounds familiar, it's because I've spent the past decade growing Wirebuzz into a digital marketing powerhouse designed to maximize clarity in complex sales processes so we can help accelerate revenue. And we do this in 3 phases. Phase 1, we transform your website to function like your best salesperson, and then also incorporate persuasive on-demand sales videos. Now your entire team is aligned on messaging, and they're injecting massive clarity into your prospect's head. So your site looks great, but it also has engaging content that helps your team sell on demand 24/7. The next phase, phase 2, we train your sales and marketing teams to sell remotely or in person to expand the impact of your sales team. And the third phase is we develop and run targeted ads to your prospects. Scale those ads to help you achieve more business results. Sign up for the Wirebuzz Company newsletter to learn more about effective and simple ways to improve your company messaging, attract more digital attention, and ultimately make more sales.
Okay, so let's get down to business. As promised, I want to introduce you to Matt Clark. He is a media maestro. Now, this guy has deep roots in sales, and he's transformed the telecom industry by the time he was 23 with a venture that soared to $6 million in just 3 years. He originated from the UK and South Africa's door-to-door sales scene. And by the way, anybody who's ever done door-to-door sales literally learned sales at a very early age. And the reason is success in sales is repetition. And the more doors you knock on, and the more doors that get closed in your face, the more you figure it the F out quickly. Matt Clark, thanks for joining me on the Toddcast.
Yeah, Todd, thanks for having me, man. Yeah, and it was so good connecting with you the other day. And exactly, we were on the call and we're like, dude, why did it take so long to get together? Right, so I'm very excited about today.
Matt, you've grown, you have a unique perspective and experience with systems-driven growth. You're the founder of Virtual Edge. Matt has, by the way, you guys revamped over 2,000, yes, with a comma, 2,000 businesses in 26 countries, empowering them with amplified client value and strategies for sustainable growth, and changed the lifestyle of the owners so they could then go on to have massive impact for people. And Matt, I want to talk with you about LinkedIn, bro. Like, LinkedIn is one of my favorite places to play. What is it about LinkedIn that makes it extra special for entrepreneurs and business leaders?
You know what I love the most is, and especially for me, is that you can cut through all the markety messages. Don't choke there, buddy. Okay.
Did you see that? Like I have a drinking problem or something. My Yeti just dribbled on me.
That's okay, as long as only the Yeti, So, for me, LinkedIn is amazing because I like to get to the point, okay? And because it's a professional platform, everyone that you're talking to there likes to get to the point as well. Now, don't get me wrong, funnels and everything are great. They work for some businesses, but when you're in a professional network and you're trying to work with business owners and higher caliber people, like they're not going to go through a funnel, right? They're not going to buy your $27 thing that leads to the next thing and the next thing, the next thing. They're like, well, let's get down to business. Like, can we solve a problem, a unique problem in a unique way that reverses their objections, and can we just get straight down to it and open up conversation? So for me, it's like the fastest path to getting clients, to growing network, to finding suppliers, to finding, whoever, and, people to actually promote your brand. I love it. Simple, direct, straightforward.
Dude, I love it too. I'm sure you've seen the data. For those that haven't, it's like something freakish about LinkedIn. 99% of people that go to LinkedIn don't create content. And 1% create content. You know what that means, yo? Listen up. It means that 1% of all the people on LinkedIn have the eyeballs of 99% of the business world. And if you're missing that opportunity to stand out in the crowd and be the guru in your niche, you are missing the opportunity to grow your kingdom. Matt, am I on track on this assessment?
Yeah, totally. And the biggest reason why people don't post content, and we've gone through this as well and been through the emotional journey too, the reason that they don't post content is because very often it doesn't have like super high engagement, okay? But here's something that I've learned from posting tons of content is that people don't always engage, like, or comment, but they're always watching. I can't tell you how many people I've spoken to where they're like, oh, that post that you did over there, that was the catalyst that got me on the call with you today while I'm signing up. And I'm like, but you didn't comment or post or anything. Like, I didn't even know. And they were like, yeah, well, I don't really do that. So, you've got to remove the ego and trying to build likes and comments and engagements and just post the stuff and capture attention. People don't always engage, but they're always watching. I love that.
Yeah, there's like a voyeuristic element to it. I was at a,
Totally.
right? I had the coolest thing yesterday. I had a company that was in the audience at a Tony Robbins event in Florida fly out to Scottsdale on their private jet to do a 2-hour strategy session with me at the Scottsdale airport. And so I did that strategy session. And then I was like, wait a minute, my buddy just opened up a killer huge office for his company. So I stopped in at my friend's brand new facility that took 2 years to build. And somebody in his office came around the corner and they said, oh, whoa, you're just here. I was just reading your post on LinkedIn and yeah, I'm interested. And then I thought, I have already automated this. Okay. I have to tell him, I'm like, dude, I don't even really know what I posted today because I probably created that content 30 days ago and it got released. And when I get notified, I go in and I start commenting because I love to interact with people. And I love that part. It's a two-way conversation, and don't miss the opportunity to use LinkedIn for relationship development. Like, don't be all, I'm the guru, and so I post and then I back out. Like, LinkedIn is looking for people that are great community members, and a great community member interacts and has a two-way conversation and doesn't just post and bail, right? So he told me what I was talking about. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, now I understand. And you're right, I agree too. It was like, take a little while, right? But I think that's part of the automation aspects that frees up business leaders and their time. Talk to me about how people free up their time, but still use LinkedIn to get their message out, to grow a following, to generate leads, and so on. Like, what is the high level, and we can drill into it, but what's like the state of automation on LinkedIn now?
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, before we get into that, I want to tell you a little story. Okay.
Yeah, please do.
So LinkedIn is businesses connection, business and connection and growing your network and everything. But a couple of years ago, when we launched our first LinkedIn campaign, and I had my virtual assistant running it because we were doing it all manually, she was reaching out to people, and she reached out to this one woman who, a very like formal message, happy birthday or whatever it was. I can't even remember what the message was. And the woman wrote back and said like, Matt, dude, I know you, like what's going on? So I responded back to her. We knew each other from a while ago before. We went on a date, and here it is. Now we're married. It's like,
okay, wait. I love it. So your virtual assistant was engaging with your wife, in comments.
With like a whole bunch of
I
people,
love that.
And she was one of the people I was connected to on LinkedIn. Yeah, and that's how we got reconnected. So, you never know what's going to happen. I can't tell you how many friends I've met as well that we've done business together, but we've also created beautiful friendships. It's just like a great place. Like I go in to connect with people. Like that's what I want to do. And if there's business to be done, we do the business. If there's more to be done, we do the more, like whatever it is. Now, there's some things, and bringing this back to the automation, there's some things that you shouldn't automate, right? Because people also think about automation, okay, well, like plug it in, set it, and forget it. But that's not actually the best way, because what happens is that you put in this predetermined message, and then you sound like everybody else who's just spamming their message and spamming their content out there. So we've kind of flipped this whole thing around, and we've said, how do we focus instead of just blasting things out? We focus on how do we get quality instead of quantity. So how do we go deeper, right? An inch wide and a mile deep. How do we focus on that instead of just blasting the message out to everyone? Now, that being said, we run webinars. We do all of our invites through LinkedIn. LinkedIn is our main source of leads, right? We run ads, we do direct outreach. For that kind of stuff, we'll use automation tools. But for me, I've found that when you go more personalized, when you go deeper, you actually build better connections that last longer, and they'll end up spending a hell of a lot more money with you. And I don't know about you, but I'm always down for that.
I love it. Okay, yeah, I'm a big fan of the whole concept of how we develop relationships and how those relationships become you becoming the trusted advisor, and how that becomes a client for life. And there's a lot of people that have a transactional, like, I'm going to get what I need and I'm gone reaction. There's a lot of people, Matt, that are done making friends. They're like, I don't have any time for new friends. And that to me is one, a business leader that's not going to be in business long, right? Because a business leader's core function is friend making. And friend making is the highest form of survival instincts, because the more friends you make, the more safety and security you have around you, especially when you go into tough economic times. And the smartest people are the ones that just go around and altruistically make friends and know that if they do it the right way, they go an inch wide and a mile deep with people, those people will stay in their life forever. And I think from hearing you on the panel the other day that you and I are in total alignment there.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what else as well is that these friends that you make, even if they're acquaintances and even if you're friendly with them, they also have friends, right? It's kind of how we got connected as well. You're friends with Kane, I'm friends with Kane. Boom, here we are connected. And so, like, I'm not just looking at the immediate circle, the first degree connection, but there's also a second and a third and a fourth degree connection. You know, in today's day and age, you're one call away. You're probably 1 degree of connection away or half a degree of connection away to getting the biggest name that you could probably think of. Someone in your network will either know that person or will know someone that knows that person, right? And I'm sure you found this as well. And I know you network like crazy too. So I can't tell you how many amazing people I've met because I built a great relationship with that person and then say, hey, do you know somebody else? Or they've said, hey, you should meet this person, right? And it stacks on top of each other.
If you're just checking in right now, this is Matt Clark. You're listening to rainmakergifts.com. And Matt, this is the story that I got with being discovered by Tony Robbins. I didn't know I was one person that I had known for 30 years. Somebody I went to college with that was one of my closest friends that kept that relationship secret to everybody in the world because he didn't want to be a introduction. He didn't want to be somebody get hit up for introductions every day. And almost every day somebody tries to hit me up with me reaching out to Tony for them. So, I mean, I totally get it. So, but what I didn't know is they were watching my content online and they were appreciating it in the office and they were talking about it on a daily basis. And before I knew it, they were like, yo, your content's incredibly valuable. Would you be interested in becoming one of our speakers? Like, that's how easy it was, right? So also, you and I, like, how fast did you and I go from 0 to 120 miles an hour in a relationship? It was because somebody we both know, love, and trust also knew, loved, and trusted the two of us and was like, you two need to meet. And all of a sudden, our guard was down because we looked at our friend Kane Minkus and we were both like, yo, if Kane likes him and believes in him, then the next thing I know, we're like, boom, moving right along. And I think people hire vendors or consultants or coaches or employees faster off of a referral from a relationship than anything else. So to prove your point, if you're adding value into the business ecosystem and people start to follow you, they may not be the transaction point, but they may be your referral to people who are transaction points.
Yeah. And even then, if people are the transaction points and you do amazing work together, you make money together, they're going to be like, hey, go meet this dude who, you guys can also do some stuff with. I mean, we've done amazing stuff with Kane and even with Brian. Brian's a friend of mine. I've known Brian for like 10 years, And
for those that don't know, mention who Brian is.
Yep. So Brian is the founder of Real Success, right? Brian Walsh. And, he puts on these big events. I mean, we had on the event that we spoke together, there were 5,000 people watching us. He puts on these big events every single month and probably every week or every 2 weeks where he brings some of the biggest speakers in the world onto his events to share knowledge and help people grow, to empower lives.
It's really quite remarkable, bro. All right. Talk to me about the work you do. I want to know, like, hey, I'm interested and I want to take my LinkedIn game to the next level for my business so I could start identifying the target prospect, pulling the lists, engaging them. If you could, I'm super interested in LinkedIn and the full power of it. How is a LinkedIn wizard using it today to revolutionize their lead gen?
Beautiful. So if we start from the beginning, all right, and where most people come to us is that they're doing some stuff.
You're going to go back to Adam and Eve? You're going to go back that far, or you're going to go back further to the Big Bang?
We're not going to go back that far. Yeah, we're not going to go that far. I would expect most people know what LinkedIn is, and most of the people that come to us, they're like, yeah, I've got this profile thingy that's there, and sometimes people connect with me, and I've land up having like 2,000 or 5,000 people I'm connected to. So I'm like, all right, let's fix this thing. So first step is get really clear on your ideal client, and we call this solving one big problem for one ideal client. Now, a lot of people have got maybe 2 or 3 or 4 different target markets that they reach out to. Become the specialist in one, right? If LinkedIn is the one place, it's either going to be your lead channel or it's going to be an additional lead channel to what you're doing already, right? Either way is cool. Then do market research and actually dive into their pains, their fears, their goals, their desires, And then we create a message that is going to show them how you solve their unique problem in a unique way that reverses their objections. So it's very direct and to the point. Then when the reach out happens, you're doing a personalized message every single time, okay? Because you want to create that deep connection. Personalized message every single time, open up the conversation and give them some value and invite them to a call. Now, these are very broad brushstrokes that I'm painting here, okay?
Yep.
We've got a whole system and process and methodology behind it. So what we've done to take this further is we've built in an AI tool that gets trained to speak exactly like you. What it then does is when you go and connect with somebody new, you set what we call a conversion goal. So it's the outcome of what you want to happen, and we've predefined a whole bunch of these. Then you click this little button, and it'll go and read their profile. It'll read the posts that they do. It'll read everything that they're doing, and then it'll create a customized message. So something along the lines of this, and I've literally seen this happen many times before. Hey Todd, great to connect with you. I see that you love travel. I see that you love to move around the world. My wife and I have been traveling for the past 13 months. We're also heavily involved in business and lead generation and connecting with people. I really loved your post about X, Y, and Z. Hey, would you be open to grabbing a virtual coffee and catching up and see what magic we can make together?
I love it.
Now that changes the game completely because you create a personalized connection. And that's the outreach piece.
I'm sorry, brother, for jumping in too soon. I want people to just hear what Matt's talking about. Matt's actually introducing you to something that is personalized at scale. And not only is it personalized, but before you actually want to interact with somebody, you have a sniffer. Your sniffer sniffs out things that are fake or phony or frauds or automated spam. And so when you do it, when it's personalized and relevant for their needs, pain, and frustrations, it all of a sudden opens up in people's heads the legitimacy factor, the warmth in the relationship, and then they reply back with warmth and interest. And so by taking a niche or a target persona group, you can pull that list. And then how many people can you interact with on a day doing this?
So we recommend 20 a day, right? And if you're doing personalized targeted outreach, a lot of our clients, and I always recommend to people, if you're getting on LinkedIn to build these relationships, they need to be high value relationships. So if you're selling something on LinkedIn, make sure you've got a lifetime value of at least $5,000. That's like really lower end. But even if you are selling a commodity, right, and you're selling, water bottles as an example, you're not going to go and try sell individual water bottles. You're going to go and sell to find distributors who can take like thousands of those, and it becomes a high ticket item. So the purpose of doing this is ideal client, show them how you can solve the unique problem in a unique way. And the thing I love about LinkedIn is you can specifically target these people. So if I'm looking for CEOs of tech companies that have 1,000 staff members based in Scottsdale, Arizona, I can specifically target those people and then put a message in front of them that's going to be super personalized. And one of my favorite responses that we get quite often is that Matt, we get so many messages from people spamming me with stuff. This message was like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Right? That's the kind of message that I want to be inspiring with people where they're like, oh my gosh, this is different. This is amazing. I am all ears now. Let's talk. Because once you break through that, the conversation flows. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I like it. All right. So when a company engages you, and I know there are people that are listening right now that are starting in their head to process what this looks like inside of their business, you're not going straight for the close. You're going for a meeting call that's probably booked on a Calendly link of some kind. And but you're using LinkedIn, 20 people a day, connection requests to people that are in the profile. You vet them in advance by evaluating what their staff size is. Like when we do our outreach, it's a minimum of 1,000 employees because they have to have enough budget to be able to afford our agency. And in doing so, it allows us, it's like dropping bait in the water that the bait's connected to a hook and you're doing it. And then in my agency, when somebody nibbles on that bait and replies back like a real human, replies back to the AI outreach that feels very warm and genuine and real, don't do it at all if it doesn't. But when somebody nibbles on that and it's a human, I get an alert, and so does our team inside of our Slack. Yo, there's a human on the line, and there's their response, and the next available person will jump in and follow up in the conversation and then proceed to give them a calendar link. And but do you recommend having a human jump in at some point, or is it best to just let the AI do it?
So the AI, you've still got to click the button, right? So it's a human that actually clicks the button and quality tests it. But the beautiful part is because it does most of the work for you, it only takes 30 minutes a day to do this. Now, there are a couple of strategies that we stack on top of that, which really create more awareness, that also create more engagement as well. So number one is posting out content. So like you said, you've got your content planned out. You don't know what's going out and what day, whatever. It's pre-planned and scheduled and automated, right? I love it. The second piece is what we've got a strategy called like, comment. So you go and you follow the people who you are connected with that you really want to become clients, and you go like their stuff, and then you comment on their stuff in a way that creates engagement, right? And actually adding value, not just a crappy comment like, you know, hey, good job, or whatever it is. Add value, add your thought leadership, add what you're thinking to that, so that people can actually then connect closer with who you are. And then as they're going through the process, is start sending them videos which educates them on your processes, on your systems, on the way it works, so that you're already moving people down the buying cycle. You know, my goal is I don't want to just be getting on calls with people for the sake of getting on calls. I want people to know who we are, have that know, like, and trust factor, but also be educated on what we do and how we do it, so that when they show up to the sales call, they're already 70% down the buying cycle.
Right.
Then I don't need to be an expert salesperson to walk people across the line. You know, they're not coming and asking, what do you do and how do you do it? They're saying, well, how do we make this work for my business?
Right.
And that's a fun place to play in.
And you allow the video to do most of the heavy lifting, the teaching, the visual aspects that video really is powerful on. And by the way, you guys, as you're listening, let me unpack this a little bit, because most people don't realize that people, that's who you're trying to interact with, people, okay? So the stat's all about people. People are 4 times more likely to watch video than to read. Reading is hard. It burns mental calories. When they watch, they retain 95% of the message compared to only 10% when reading. So watching a video gives somebody a 9.5 times increase in the knowledge transfer, and that's why when they're done watching, they're 85% more likely to buy from you. So you got to have the video component, because it's your information being transferred into a prospect's head with a superpower done with the greatest of ease. It's like transferring from your big brain into their brain like this, effortlessly. Boom. And when they see it and they know it, then they're like, yo, Matt Clark, I need to schedule a meeting. We need to talk pronto. And that's a different type of a sale than one that just happens with text comments.
Yeah.
And
I want to add one more thing onto that as part of the video. Is one thing we do with our clients is that we help them build a visual model of how they get their clients from a very defined point A to a very defined point B, that is outcome based. And so when you add a visual model that takes them through the process as well, you're now positioned as the expert, but also it shows them that you've got a proven system and you're not just some random dude reaching out to them and, you know, hoping for the best. So I'm always about elevate your status as you go through there, so people take you seriously.
Yeah. Okay, I love it, brother. There's The visual model gives people visibility into the proven system. And what people buy is a system and a track record of success from somebody that's demonstrated replicatable credibility in what they're trying to do. And, people are visual buyers, like we're visual daters, and we select food visually. We go to Yelp. We look at the photos before we even read the menu. Why do we do that? Because you know it when you see it, yo. And the same thing happens in business when you're evaluating something. So I love the visual model representation, but it also means that people have to get disciplined, and it means that they need to refine their process. And in refining their process, they actually aren't creating custom items. They're finding the right prospect where this problem fits their needs, and they can solve it in a proven system, which makes their business incredibly scalable, right? I mean, all of this starts to make that company more effective. Am I right, Matt?
Yeah, totally. And there's two sides of what happens here. So there's the side where it is the small business owner, small entrepreneur, and very often when we help them build out that signature system, they get clarity on where they're going, what they're delivering, how they're delivering it, what the process looks like, so that it creates the scalability. When we work with larger organizations and we map out that journey for them, it's not like they're doing anything new, but it gets mapped out in a way where internally they can train the team, so it aligns the team with the vision, the mission, the purpose, and everyone's driving towards the same goal, which means that the entire team and organization becomes 10 times more effective as well.
Yeah, that's super cool. And so let's role play for just 2 seconds. Somebody like me.
Shoot.
I'm going to be keynoting the Event Planner Expo in New York City next month with Gary Vaynerchuk. We're the two keynote speakers. There's going to be 2,500 event planners there. For me as a speaker, and that's one of my 3 businesses, getting hired to go and speak is the ultimate first step, because that room is then filled with other people that want to hire me, right? It's a multiplying effect. So for me, my target for the speaking business are event planners. How could I, and anybody what I want you to do is not say, well, wait a minute, Todd, you asked about your business. I want you to follow what Matt's going to say. I want you to look at it like it's a friggin' blueprint, because the dude is going to map it really quickly for you. So if I'm trying to target event planners and I want to show that I can serve them and use the Event Planner Expo that I'm keynoting with as the street cred credibility that I'm already a proven commodity, so they're not going to embarrass themselves if they hire me, right? So I would target event planners and then narrow that down to event planners that are most likely at companies that I know, bread and butter, I can serve. Am I doing this the right way? And where would you take it from there?
So there's 2 ways that you can do this. And one way is to, build your profile that focuses on event planners and how you help them solve their specific problems in a certain way, right? Okay. So that's one way of doing it. The way that I would recommend for you, so there's 2 levels. So one is where you've got a brand already. So you speak on big stages around the world, you've got a brand already. It's not going to make sense for you to shift your brand to focus on event planners and help them solve their problems, right? What makes sense for you is, if you've got a brand already, is that you talk about the problems that you solve, and then you reach out to event planners asking them if they've got clients that are looking to solve the problems that you solve. So you're positioning yourself to solve the client's problems, because remember, event planners are the go-between, right? They're the middleman. They're the connectors. And I would position myself as, these are the problems that I solve, and you've got to put in their keynote speaker and add your branding and where you've spoken and all the rest. So that's one way if you have a brand. If you don't have a brand and you're not speaking on big stages and you want to be speaking more on these stages, it's actually a very similar process. But you want to show how you also help those event planners and make it about the event planners and taking them from where they're at right now to where they want to go to. Now, that being said, if that is the goal, then make sure you've got the assets that follow in the back end. So we want to make sure we've got an offer, we've got a speaker kit, we've got all the media kit, we've got all the tools in the back end that make, I'm going to throw out one word here. It's congruency.
Matt Clark is dropping business gold right here. And then the next step has got to be setting up some type of automated in outreach, creating your content that serves that audience and piques their ear where they're like, yo, this dude's exactly what we need, dropping gold right in the content. And then before you know it, when the automation does an AI outreach, 20 people a day, and then before they connect with you, they go and look at your content and they're like, yeah, oh my God, this guy's like spot on.
Exactly.
Then they reach out even at a higher frequency and they're like, yeah, we should talk. I'd be interested in learning more, right? I mean, is this kind of how the game works?
Yeah, and we're also big fans of giving people multiple opportunities to connect with us because everyone likes to engage in different ways. So on top of that, we also run webinars. We drive all the traffic from LinkedIn, super highly targeted traffic. We do outreach as well as run LinkedIn ads. Now, a lot of people say, oh, LinkedIn ads are expensive. I mean, they're expensive if they don't work. We see an average of a 7.2 times return on ad spend for every dollar that we put in, right? So I'll spend that all day long.
You guys should know that that's a phenomenal return right there. And if you aren't asking that question when you're engaging with somebody, then that's on you and you probably get stuck with a novice. And if they don't answer that question on what their return on ad spend is, then you'll know instantly that they aren't ready for prime time and you shouldn't engage them. Matt Clark, please carry on.
Yeah, 100%. So webinars are a great way to do it. Some of our clients run small webinars, some of them run big webinars. I had a guy the other day that, he ran a webinar. He had 10 people book a call with him after the webinar and signed on 9 of them, right? Because they're so super targeted, and 90% close rate from cold traffic that had never met him before.
Wow.
Okay, this is beautiful. So webinars one way. Roundtables are another way, which are incredibly effective to speak to CEOs, to speak to very high-level people, because let's be honest, they're not going to go sit on an hour-long webinar. But if you can put them in a group of their peers where you can discuss market trends and what's going on, and then take them through your signature solution, showing them how you get from point A to point B, now that becomes a game changer. I've got a client who does 2 of these a month. He calls it cigars and cocktails with CEOs, and he does a ghostwriting book service, right?
Love it.
And he charges $50,000 to do this. So he gets 5 to 10 of these exact ideal clients, and some of these guys are running like billion-dollar and multi-billion-dollar companies. And he says, so tell me your story. And they start sharing their life story and what they did and everything as well. And here's his pitch, right? Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Hey, you should write a book about that.
I love it.
And he's bringing on 2 clients every time he does these things, and he literally does $200,000 a month just from 2 of those little events, right?
Wow.
Over and above everything else it's amazing.
Speaking of amazing, as you're listening, rainmakergifts.com is where you go for more information on Matt Clark. He can actually be found on Instagram and on Facebook and of course on LinkedIn. And I highly recommend that you reach out to them. Matt, where else can people go to get a hold of you?
Those are the best places, 100%. So go to the gifts page. We've got a whole bunch of gifts there for you where you can start sampling it and start seeing it. There's videos, there's training, there's a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, LinkedIn as well. If you want to reach out directly to me, hit me up on LinkedIn. Let's get talking and let's see how we can help you.
You mean you are going to be on LinkedIn and you're going to respond to people? Oh my gosh. I think it's funny because a lot of people are like, well, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to. These are leads coming through. And if you know how to handle it and how to move them through your process, it's to your business benefit. For more information on Matt Clark, I highly recommend go to rainmakergifts.com. That's rainmakergifts.com. Matt Clark, thank you so much for joining me, brother, on the Toddcast.
Todd, thanks so much for having me, man. It's been amazing.
Love it. All right, you guys. So that's Matt Clark. And I think you guys should start evaluating how you're bringing new leads into your business. That is one of a many strategies that this man has rolling around inside of his big, massive dome. If they're in his dome and not in your business, they are not of value to you. Okay? So let's start getting your business to the next level. Let's start getting more leads. Let's use the greatest business platform in El Mundo to work on your behalf. And the key is to find that niche that you want to serve, to find that ideal client profile that you want to get in front of and start engaging them and move them in meetings. And on behalf of the team here at WireBuzz, I thank you for joining us. Coming up in the next episode, another superstar in the world of business is going to be right here to help you get next friggin' level. So stay tuned for that episode. Thank you so much for everybody for joining me, and I'll see you on the next episode.
Yo, that was a powerful episode. And from what we just learned, it should be obvious how you can now implement these lessons in your life to get to the next level. Now, before you bounce, I just have 3 quick thoughts. First, thank you for taking me on your incredible life journey. Second, if you receive some value from me and you want to pay it forward, it would mean the world to me if you left an honest rating and review at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. I'd be incredibly grateful. And lastly, if you share this episode, whether it be a screenshot or a photo from where you're listening, anything via Instagram stories or LinkedIn, Facebook, or any of the social media sites, just tag me and the guest. I'll repost your content and I'll reply back in the comments because I love mixing it up. In fact, I'd love to share your shout outs in my feed too. Not only are these shout outs really good for you and for me, but they also help us book more amazing guests because they'll be able to see the reach that you're helping to cultivate. This is a way for you to help contribute to the show. So thank you again for listening, and I look forward to earning a regular spot inside that ear of yours. Let's grow.